In December of 1995, a Bosnia peace agreement was signed after being negotiated in Dayton, Ohio.
Now, 4 years later, a NATO-led multinational stabilization force is there to oversee the peace. U.S. Air Force participation is being called Operation Joint Forge. This winter, Dyess C-130s deployed in Germany made daily flights into and out of Bosnia in support of Joint Forge. And in January, we went along.
It's another early morning for this Dyess air crew, and today's flight is into the box, into Bosnia.
The deep moisture crew is now just down there along the border where we the Alps.
First stop for the air crew is the Meteo Center for a briefing on the weather. Sarajevo is fogged in, but it should clear before noon. At Squadron operations, the crew gets a quick briefing on the latest intelligence from Bosnia.
Serbian Croatians, you got Serbian...
Colonel Tip Stinnett, the deployed commander of the 317th, is a veteran of almost 300 flights into the box.
Intel is as brief.
Ground crews and loadmasters go to work on today's cargo, which includes troops headed for Sarajevo and for Hungary.
We're going to Tazar first. Who's going to Tazar?
Tazar is a Hungarian air base. It's being used by NATO troops as a staging area in one of the largest airlifts since World War II. Back in the air, and as expected, the weather in Sarajevo is clearing. Dyess planes take special precautions when flying into Bosnia. The crew wears flak vests. The planes are equipped with chaff and flares to confuse ground-to-air missiles. Kevlar armor is installed around the flight deck.
But the biggest threat is probably the terrain around the airport here. You can see it surrounding us. Coming in here at night or in bad weather, it can get pretty disconcerting, having to avoid the terrain and coming into the airport at the same time.
From the air, Sarajevo appears as a beautiful city. It has been in the past. And although the country is rebuilding, evidence of almost 4 years of ethnic strife is noticeable everywhere. Now under the protection of French forces, the Sarajevo airport is just now getting back to its pre-1992 status before the hostilities began. But it wasn't too long ago when warring factions on this side of the airport were lobbing missiles and artillery shells into enemy positions on this side of the airport in the hills. Today, most of the arms of the warring factions have gone into cantonment areas, but a bombed-out Russian IL-76 still sits as a mute reminder of the danger of flying into Sarajevo. And French security forces appear to take their job very seriously.
No. He's not actually here. Okay. So they rather keep low-key as much as possible.
They're very professional how they handle the aircraft on the ground, so I feel confident coming in here.
Dyess planes and crews don't spend very much time on the ground at Sarajevo. Most days it's drop off a load, pick up another, then head back to Germany. It's a 2-hour flight back to Ramstein.
The situation in Bosnia and much of the Balkans is not simple to explain. Ethnic factions have been at each other's throat in the region since the republics of Yugoslavia broke up after the fall of communism and for hundreds of years before that. The UN estimates that nearly 1 million landmines remain undetected around the countryside. Tomorrow we fly back into Bosnia to an air base at Tuzla, an area of the country where the situation is a little less stable.